Is of the belief that sustainable data centers are key to powering our digital economy. Omer Wilson is Vice President Marketing for the APAC region with Digital Realty and joins me live now. Thanks for your time today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, good to join you.
Okay, what exactly do we mean by the term sustainable data center, and how exactly can one be built?
Well, I think it's important for people to understand. I mean, data center for, I guess, the majority of the audience is probably a little bit more abstract still, but they're critical for everything we all do day in, day out. So it's worth considering that, videos, clips online, work mails, entertainment videos, communications, everything's driven by these facilities. And as more and more data is generated by growing populations around the world, there's going to be a need for ever more of these facilities. And one of the big things they need is a lot of power. So a lot of electricity to just keep the servers running, so everybody has their emails and their content constantly, and also manage the humidity levels. Especially in high humid locations, you've got to manage the humidity of the servers. So that's where we come to in terms of sustainability, because there's no getting away from these facilities anymore. In terms of economic living, it's almost become a commodity. If you take away online internet access to a location, people will be like taking away water or electricity really for a location now. So you've got to have data centers. What we're saying now, and we're one of the largest, if not the largest in the world in terms of number of facilities, about 290 across the world, is that there is a model to run these much more sustainably. So renewable energy, the efficiency of how the facility is run is very, very important, not wasting, even 1 kilowatt of electricity, and then also where and how you build them.
Yeah, okay. So look, data centers are playing an increasing role, are they, in fueling our digital economy?
They're absolutely core. It's almost like thinking of them as the heart of the nervous system or the body. Everything runs through them. So if you think about a digital economy, you're thinking about financial transactions, you're thinking about business transactions. All of these are going through multiple data centers, and if you think of Australia itself, Sydney, Melbourne, massive data stations, Sydney being one of the sort of regional and global ones. But then again, that connects to Tokyo, or that connects to a Singapore, to a Hong Kong, to a London. And that's the traditional model for the data centers, where these large social media, banking, credit card companies would be in these large cities. What we're now seeing is that these tier 2 or tier 3, so to speak, in a data center term, cities are now becoming major hotspots. So by that, what do we mean? In Australia, maybe a Perth or a Brisbane. In Southeast Asia, that becomes a Jakarta, or even other locations within Indonesia and Malaysia are also needing data centers, because the populations are growing in those locations, and you need to have that data traffic closer to the end user.
Yeah, okay. When it comes to your company, Digital Realty, how exactly is it enacting its commitment to sustainability when it comes to these new data centers that are being built?
So we're very focused on it. In terms of our European portfolio in its entirety, the co-location model there is driven by renewable energy. North America as well, very similar. We buy 80, 100 plus megawatts. These are huge amounts of solar and wind energy within those locations. So a lot of focus on renewable access. And then in Asia itself, where renewable access is a little bit harder to access. I mean, Australia is probably the one outlier there where you can access solar and other renewable energies. Other parts of Asia, it's much harder. In those locations, as I said earlier, we really focus on the efficiency. So how do we build the facilities to run without using or wasting power, so every bit of power gets to the systems that need it, and then also how do we reuse stuff like rainwater, how do we make it more water efficient, and then how do we make it more efficient in terms of the cooling, because if you think about these facilities now, we used to build them 10, 15 megawatt was large. Now we're talking 100, 150 megawatt facilities. And if you think a small town or city can be run with about 30, 32 megawatts, that'll give you a feel about the amount of energy that's passing through these buildings now. So, building them and operating them as efficiently as you can is not just an issue for the data center industry, it's really a global issue now, because more and more people need data, more and more emerging markets, and we've got to build and operate these buildings much more efficiently.
Yeah, when it comes to these emerging markets, are you able to tell me a bit more about your expansion plans for the region, as well as a little bit about your latest facility in Singapore?
Sure. So we opened earlier this year, around March, April, our third facility in Singapore, which is actually our largest, 50 megawatts of power, multiple stories on the east of the island, close to the landing stations. So being close to the cable landing stations, which carry all the world's internet traffic, people don't realize it really is being driven by cables under the sea still. So being close to cable landing stations is very key. So that's our third facility in Singapore. Now we're looking into new markets. We just signed a joint venture with the Brookfield in India. So we're going to operate and start building data centers in India, which is very exciting for us. We're also looking at the surrounding area quite very closely, as I mentioned earlier. Nothing announced yet, but Southeast Asia, with its large populations, very, very attractive to us, especially Indonesia, as what will be the largest e-commerce market in Southeast Asia very, very soon. And then China, we had one facility in Hong Kong, the SAR region, China, and we're now looking at opening our second facility, which is currently under construction in Hong Kong as well. So those are currently our emerging markets. As I said, there's very different areas now popping up more and more. People are looking at even Vietnam, Malaysia, Thailand. For us at the moment, we're still keeping relatively close to the core markets, but as I said, keeping a very close eye on Indonesia and accelerating our plans in India.
Okay, Emma Wilson from Digital Realty. Really appreciate your time. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Great to join you. Have a good day.